What exactly are you waiting for? A sign? A miracle? A voice from the sky telling you, now is the time? Let me give it to you straight. It's never coming. That so-called perfect moment you've built your world around, that magical alignment of stars, peace of mind, confidence, clarity, it's a damn myth. And that's precisely where Mia's story takes root. Not in greatness, not in motion, but in waiting. Let's begin the story. Part 1. The lie we all believe. She was 19, young, sharp, bursting with creativity. Her ideas? Brilliant. Her dreams? Limitless. Her soul? Hungry. But her life? On pause. Mia had ambition bleeding from every corner of her room. Sticky notes with goals on the mirror. Vision boards with beach houses and speaking stages. A desk drawer overflowing with journals titled Next Year, My Turn Soon, almost there, but her feet? Still. Her hands? Cold with self-doubt. Her eyes? Always looking toward a future that was moving further away each day. Her mantra became dangerous. Not yet. Someday. I'll start once I'm ready. She didn't know it, but those words were killing her dreams silently. You see, time doesn't shout. It doesn't argue or scream at you for being late. It just keeps going, relentless, unapologetic, savage. And time was laughing at her. Every day, she convinced herself she needed one more course, one more video, one more prayer, one more moment of inspiration. But what she truly needed was movement, not perfection, not certainty, just motion. And then it happened. The call. Her best friend, her ride or die, her mirror, the one she shared every dream with, had just been accepted into an elite international fellowship. The same one Mia had dreamed about for 3 straight years. They used to talk about it late at night. How they'd fly together, get their passports stamped, change lives, change their own. It was their plan until it wasn't, because Mia never even applied. Not because she didn't want it, but because she convinced herself she wasn't ready. I'll do it next year. I need to improve my resume. I don't think they'd pick me anyway. Excuse after excuse, delivered with such elegance, even she started believing them. But dreams delayed too long become ghosts. And that night, one more dream died. As her phone slipped from her hand and the news sank in, she stared at the untouched application on her laptop. Open, unfilled, unsent, unlived. She looked at herself in the mirror and didn't recognize the girl staring back. Not because she looked different, but because she finally saw the lie she had married. You have time, but she didn't. Not really. None of us do. That night, she didn't cry because her friend got in. She cried because she didn't even try. And when the tears hit the paper she never submitted, she whispered something that would become her turning point. Not just for her, but for anyone who's ever waited for life to begin. Time doesn't wait. So why the hell am I? It wasn't poetic. It wasn't a caption-worthy quote. It was raw. It was real. And it was the first honest thing she'd said to herself in years. You see, The world sells us a lie. Wait until you're ready. Wait for the perfect timing. Wait until the fear disappears. But let me tell you this. Fear never leaves. It walks beside you, sleeps in your bed, eats at your confidence. You don't wait for fear to go away. You move with it. Courage is not the absence of fear. It's the decision that something else matters more. Franklin D. Roosevelt. That night, something shifted in Mia. Not everything. Not instantly. But enough. She got up from her bed, wiped her face, and looked at the screen again. The application was closed now. Deadline long gone. Opportunity missed. But something was still burning inside her. Not the pain of missing out, but the rage of having held herself back. And rage, when fueled correctly, is a powerful force. That night, Mia made a vow. No more waiting. No more lies. No more sitting in the shadow of what could be. She couldn't get that opportunity back, but she could stop giving time the power to own her. Part 2. The clock starts screaming. From that night forward, something inside Mia didn't just crack, it exploded. Maybe it was the guilt. Maybe it was the sting of regret. Or maybe it was the blinding realization that time was not her friend. She stood in front of the mirror like someone trying to recognize a stranger. Her hair, wild and undone. Her eyes, red, but not from pain alone, from truth finally exposed. And her voice, barely a whisper, but loud enough to echo through her bones. What if time is actually my enemy? The question hit her like thunder. Her entire life, she had treated time like a patient partner, a gentle friend who would always wait. But in reality, time was a thief. It never paused when she doubted herself. It never pitted her when she froze in fear. It never extended deadlines just because she wasn't ready. Time simply moved. Fussed. Unforgiving. Savage. The trouble is, you think you have time. Jack Cornfield. That sentence replayed in her head like a war drum. And she knew, if she didn't move now, she'd spend the rest of her life trapped in her own potential. So she stopped planning and started doing. Not with elegance, not with clarity, but with fire. She didn't wait for the right moment because she finally understood it doesn't exist. She signed up for local workshops, even though her voice trembled during introductions. She cold emailed mentors, even though her hand shook as she hit send. She launched a blog, even though she made typos in her first post and panicked afterward. It wasn't flawless. It wasn't confident, but it was real. It was moving. It was hers. Her inner critic screamed at her daily. Who do you think you are? You're not good enough yet. You're embarrassing yourself. But she kept replying, louder each time. Maybe I am, but at least I'm showing up. There were days she doubted everything. Nights where she cried from exhaustion. Moments she stared at her laptop, paralyzed by fear that she wasn't enough. But even then, she reminded herself, done is better than perfect. An imperfect action beats perfect hesitation. She replaced Netflix hours with networking calls. She started waking up earlier, not because she became a morning person, but because the clock was screaming now. It shouted every time she hesitated. It roared every time she thought about quitting. And yet, the world around her didn't change overnight. Her bank account still looked the same. Her followers didn't skyrocket. Her inbox wasn't flooded with opportunities. But something bigger was changing. She was no longer the girl waiting for life to hand her a chance. She was becoming the woman who grabbed it by the throat and said, "I'm not waiting anymore." People around her noticed. They started asking, "What's gotten into you?" She just smiled and said, "The clock finally screamed loud enough." And I listened. That shift in her mindset from passive to powerful was the earthquake that began shaking mountains. And those mountains, they weren't just external challenges. They were internal blocks. Self-doubt, perfectionism, procrastination, fear of failure. You don't have to see the whole staircase. Just take the first step. Martin Luther King Jr. Mia had taken that first step, and she was taking more. Messy, raw, unpolished steps. But they were real steps, not dreams, not intentions, not empty promises scribbled in notebooks. She started sharing her journey publicly, not as a polished influencer, but as a work in progress. She talked about her stumbles, her breakdowns, her awkward pitches and failed blog posts. But people listened, because truth has a power that perfection never will. Her vulnerability became her superpower. People weren't inspired by her success. They were inspired by her effort. They didn't see a polished queen. They saw a warrior in the mud, still moving forward. She realized something beautiful. Perfection disconnects us, but honesty, it connects us. It heals us. Start where you are. Use what you have. Do what you can. Arthur Ashe. That became her new mantra. No more waiting for the perfect skill set. No more hiding behind when I'm ready. Because the truth is, she was never going to feel ready. And maybe that was the point. You see, Mia's story isn't about instant transformation. It's not about suddenly making it. It's about what happens when you decide to stop sleeping on your own damn life. It's about realizing that the clock isn't ticking quietly in the background. It's screaming in your face. And every second you waste doubting yourself, someone else is chasing your dream with half your talent and twice your courage. Mia woke up that night, not because someone inspired her, but because she lost something that hurt enough to wake her soul up. And now, she wasn't just existing. She was living, with scars, with fears, with typos and trembling hands, but with movement. Part 3, War with the Clock. 3 months into her transformation, Mia's mornings no longer belonged to her alarm clock. They belonged to her mission. She began waking up at 5 a.m., not to flex on Instagram or sip overpriced matcha, but because she literally couldn't sleep. Not from anxiety, but from an unstoppable fire raging in her chest. Her dreams were no longer abstract ideas pinned to a vision board. They were alive, kicking, screaming, demanding action. And Mia? She wasn't the same girl anymore. She had become addicted to motion, to that subtle thrill of crossing one more task off the list, of pushing one more boundary, of surprising herself again and again. She didn't wait for motivation. She built momentum. Every day, she carried a small digital timer in her coat pocket. It buzzed once every hour with a ruthless question. What did you move forward? Not what did you think about? Not what did you plan? What did you actually move? And that simple question, it became her personal battlefield. Every hour was a war zone. Mia had declared war on distraction, delay, and doubt. Her friends noticed the shift. Some admired it. Some resented it. They were still waiting for clarity, journaling, overthinking, telling themselves they were aligning with the universe. But Mia had outgrown that spiritual disguise for fear and procrastination. She wasn't waiting for alignment anymore. She was forging her own direction with blistered hands and relentless drive. You don't find purpose, you build it. You don't wait for timing, you create it. Mia once posted a truth bomb that shook her tiny online following awake. If you're still waiting for the universe to give you permission, let me be clear. The universe doesn't owe you a damn thing. The caption went viral, not because it was poetic, but because it was raw, unapologetic truth. People DM'd her. Strangers said she spoke what they'd been afraid to admit. Some loved her. Some called her too harsh. But Mia didn't care, because when you stop waiting, you stop needing validation. She wasn't interested in pleasing anyone anymore. She was focused on progress, not popularity. Time punishes the passive and rewards the ruthless. That became her mantra, not out of arrogance, but from a place of brutal clarity. Every time she chose focus over scrolling, courage over comfort, execution over excuse, time rewarded her. Slowly, the world started responding. Not magically, not overnight, but in ways that only show up for the ones who show up. Random emails started hitting her inbox. Invitations to speak at student events, offers to collaborate on local projects, even a company wanting to publish her blog as a book. People said, "You're so lucky." She smiled, but deep down she wanted to scream. This isn't luck. This is war, and I'm winning it hour by hour. Opportunity didn't suddenly discover her. She became discoverable, because opportunity doesn't knock on closed doors. It knocks when it sees motion. It knocks when it feels the heat. It knocks when the fire inside you is loud enough to break through the noise of the world. Mia had become visible, not just to others, but to herself. For the first time in her life, she wasn't lost in endless preparation. She was deep in execution. There were no blueprints, no safety nets, just one relentless belief. I will not waste another minute bowing to fear. If you don't fight for your time, no one else will. Laura Vanderkam. She started tracking her hours like gold. She cut out mindless conversations, muted toxic people, deleted apps that stole more than they gave. Every second counted now. Not because she was in a rush, but because she was finally awake. She wasn't trying to hustle for some shallow dream. She wasn't chasing clout or trends. She was protecting her power, and time was the battlefield. She wrote on a sticky note and taped it to her laptop. If it doesn't move the mission, it doesn't deserve my minutes. That was her filter. That was her focus. Not everything was perfect. She still stumbled. She still had days where fear tried to crawl back in, whispering, "Take a break. You've done enough." But then her timer would buzz. That tiny vibration against her leg was more powerful than any motivational speech. It was her reminder. You don't get this hour back. Use it or lose it. And slowly, her life began reflecting her effort, not in flashy ways, but in meaningful ones. Her mindset became magnetic, her presence commanding. People began to ask her for advice, not realizing she was still learning too, just at full speed. The same girl who once cried over a missed application was now mentoring others on how to stop wasting their own lives. Because nothing transforms you faster than owning your time. Success isn't something you chase. It's something you attract by becoming valuable. Jim Rohn. Mia didn't wait for value. She built it, day by day, hour by hour, buzz by buzz. And what was once a whisper in her soul had become a war cry, echoing through everything she did. Time won't slow down for me, so I won't slow down for it. Part 4. The moment everyone missed. Exactly 1 year after the night Mia declared war on time, she launched her first online course. It wasn't flashy. No confetti-filled ads. No celebrity endorsements. No six-figure launch like the guru's promise. Just 27 sign-ups. That's it. But for Mia, it was everything. Because these 27 weren't just numbers on a dashboard. They were people who saw value in something she created, shipped, and delivered. Not just talked about, not just dreamed about, but brought to life. That course was proof. Proof that she had crossed the invisible line between potential and reality, between planning and producing, between waiting and doing. And she kept going, quietly, boldly, relentlessly. The world didn't give her standing ovations. Her family didn't fully understand. Her friends? Some clapped. Others stayed silent. But Mia had long stopped needing permission, validation, or applause. Be proud of what you build, even when no one's clapping. One night, during a live session with her small but growing student group, a participant asked a question that hit deeper than expected. What made you finally stop waiting? There was a moment of silence. Not because she didn't know the answer, but because she felt the weight of it. She looked straight into the webcam. Not rehearsed, not polished, just honest. I stopped, she said slowly, because I realized time is undefeated, and I refused to lose by default. There was a pause. Then she added, in a voice that cut like glass, "You're either chasing your dreams or attending their funeral." That line didn't just hit the live audience. It shattered the internet. The clip went viral. Thousands of shares, Emails from strangers across the world flooded her inbox. Entrepreneurs stuck in perfectionism, artists frozen in doubt, mothers rediscovering themselves, teenagers too scared to start, and they all echoed the same feeling. That line woke me up, but Mia didn't pause to celebrate. She didn't soak in the glory. She didn't screenshot the praise, because she was already knee-deep in her next project. She wasn't doing it for fame. She was doing it because she now understood something most people never do. You don't rise when the world notices you. You rise when you refuse to pause for it. There was no space left in her schedule for delay. Not because she was obsessed with productivity, but because she had learned to revere time like oxygen. Sacred, non-negotiable, unforgiving if wasted. Every second became a currency. Every minute an investment. And the returns? They weren't just monetary. They were internal. Clarity, self-trust, expansion. She didn't fear failure anymore. She feared only one thing now. Wasting time fearing failure. Failure is feedback. Fear is a choice. Delay is the real danger. That quote was scribbled on a sticky note stuck to her desk lamp. She read it every night before closing her laptop. And most nights, she didn't close it until 2 a.m. Not because she had to, but because she wanted to. There was no burnout. Because she wasn't running from pressure. She was pulled by purpose. She no longer chased motivation. She had created her own ecosystem of energy. A rhythm built on urgency, clarity, and ruthless focus. While most people were still waiting for the right time, Mia had already built an empire of effort. Her name started surfacing in conversations she wasn't part of. People she had never met began referencing her blog. Invitations to podcasts, events, panels quietly landed in her inbox. And still, she never acted surprised. Not because she was arrogant, but because she knew one truth most overlook. The world rewards those who keep showing up long after the excitement wears off. Consistency had become her weapon, and momentum, her armor. She'd built so much movement that even on her worst days, her habits carried her forward. Even when doubt crept in, her discipline dragged her through. Success didn't feel like a fireworks show. It felt like a quiet knowing that she was doing exactly what she was meant to do, with no regrets and no apologies. She no longer feared being judged. She feared being average. She feared dying with her dreams buried under years of hesitation. You either own the seconds, or the seconds own you. That was the heartbeat of her work. She turned urgency into a lifestyle, not the frantic, chaotic kind, but the sacred, focused kind, the kind that understands every tick of the clock is a whisper from the grave asking, "What are you doing with this breath?" And as the months went by, she looked back not to romanticize the journey, but to remind herself how far she'd come. From frozen nights filled with self-doubt, to glowing screens filled with global conversations. Yet in her mind, she was still that girl standing in front of a mirror, whispering, Time doesn't wait. So why the hell am I? The difference now? She wasn't whispering anymore. She was teaching others to scream it from their own rooftops. Part 5. Time is the fire. Today, Mia's name echoes in places she once only saw through glass. Conference halls lit in gold, podcasts streamed globally, masterclasses filled with hungry learners, and boardrooms where decisions shaped the future. But if you ever ask her the secret, she won't credit talent, not luck, not some genius spark for birth. She'll look you dead in the eye and say, it came from urgency, from the holy pressure of knowing time is burning everything in its path. And the only way to not get consumed is to move faster than the fire. You don't outrun time. You outfight it. Mia no longer flirts with the idea of someday. That word is dead to her. Buried, never spoken. She lives, breathes, teaches, screams, and embodies one rule now. Move. Now. No hesitation. No permissiones lips. No over-explaining. If it matters, she acts. If it fuels the mission, she executes. And if it doesn't, she cuts it. Cold. Because she's seen it happen. Over and over. Talented people fading. Dreamers dying with dreams still inside. Not because they lack skill, but because they sat still. And time kept walking. Waiting is the slowest form of self-destruction. It doesn't stab you, it starves you. Mia now speaks in places where excuses once reigned. And what she tells people isn't always comforting, but it's always true. She tells them, time won't attack you. It'll just ignore you. And what's worse than failure? Being forgotten before you even tried. That's what waiting does. It doesn't shout. It whispers you into invisibility. One delay at a time. One, maybe next week, after another. And when it's done with you, there's nothing left. No noise. No regret loud enough to bring back what could have been. So if you're watching this right now, still waiting for a better moment, a little more courage, a little more clarity, stop right now, because this is the moment. This is the breath that counts. There is no magical future moment where the fear disappears. There is only now, and now is enough. Mia's rise wasn't from privilege. It wasn't a straight path. It was forged in discomfort, in sleepless nights, in terrifying first steps, and in showing up when everything screamed, "You're not ready." Readiness is a lie comfort tells the courageous to keep them still. She stopped trying to feel ready. She just decided to be ready by doing. And that decision, that ruthless commitment to the now, it changed everything. Time to her is no longer some background rhythm. It's a living, breathing force. It's her rival, her motivator, her enemy, and her mirror. It reminds her daily that this world owes her nothing, and everything she gets, she must extract from its grip with her own hands. She teaches others the same fire now, not through motivational fluff, but through raw truth. You can't afford to be casual with your time, because time isn't casual about destroying you. Every second you overthink, someone else is executing. Every minute you rehearse the perfect plan, someone else is releasing version 1. Every hour you sit in doubt, your opportunity walks right past your unopened door. Time doesn't stop, not for indecision, not for fear, not even for tragedy. It just keeps moving, and either you move with it or you're left behind. So if you're reading this, hoping for a sign, this is it. This is your wake-up call, your slap across the soul, your invitation to get in the damn arena and fight. Because while you're waiting for perfect alignment, your life is quietly slipping away. And what will be your story then? Will you whisper excuses on your deathbed? Will you say, I was going to start? Or will you say, I showed up, broken, scared, unfinished, but I showed up? Most people die at 25, but aren't buried until 75. Benjamin Franklin. Mia refused to be one of them. She chose urgency. She chose movement. She chose the discomfort of growth over the safety of delay. And look where that got her. She didn't become a millionaire overnight. She didn't go viral with one quote. She built momentum like a machine. One decision at a time. One battle with fear at a time. One sacred second at a time. Because time isn't your friend. It's not your comforter. It's not here to wait with you. Time is your challenge, your opponent, your wake-up call with a ticking clock and no reset button. And that's what Mia teaches now. Not how to go viral, not how to fake success, but how to stop wasting your one non-renewable resource, time. So stop waiting. Stop scrolling. Stop building your dreams in your mind while letting your reality rot in stillness. Start writing. Start building. Start failing forward. Start embarrassing yourself if you must. But start. Create. Fight. Become. Because the clock isn't your background music. It's your enemy. And it's not slowing down for anyone. Time is the fire in which we burn. Delmore Schwartz. Let that fire fuel you, not destroy you. So what will you do now? Stand there with your dreams in your pocket? Or open your fists and build something before it's too late? The world won't wait. The moment won't return. But you can still rise. So rise now. Rise scared. Rise messy. But for the love of all that's still possible, rise.